Hi everyone, it's me. I was thinking about some things lately, and one of it was just a change in attitude on how I look. Um, I have had a weight problem my whole life. Um, I was chubby as a child and made fun of in the playground and everything. Um, And then I got sick when I was 9, and I had to have surgery on my leg. And in doing that, the doctor had required me to have bed rest. I was able to go to school, but that was basically the only activity I had. So then I came home and watched TV, and I was the walking TV guide. Anyway, so once I got better, I didn't feel like doing anything. I didn't want to run outside. I didn't want to play. Nothing. I was like TV and me, you know. So in doing that, it really didn't help my weight situation. And at the age of 12, I was 156 pounds. I know that because after years of 6X and all kinds of things, I was in junior high school, and my mom wanted me to um, be more, I don't know, ordinary, normal. And so she took me to the doctor at the Naval Academy, and he gave me the Stillman water diet. And at 12 years old, you don't want to read that crap. But I did, and I followed it. And I would have to go back every 2 weeks to be weighed. And I started to lose, and then it didn't work because it's not a good diet. Anyway, um, every time I went back, I was, gaining back what I lost. And the last time that I went there, the doctor basically told me that I was the problem and that I was obviously cheating on the diet and whatnot. So kind of hurt my self-esteem. It embarrassed my mother. And after that, I really, struggled with, well, I had already done home diets and things like that, but I really struggled. And junior high wasn't that great. I mean, I was cute, but I was chubby. And always, that was always something that was brought up to me. Anyway, I did many, many, many diets. And as I lost weight, I would gain esteem, but then inevitably I would stop. The diet would wane, and I would gain back everything, and more. And so it was this cycle of lose weight, gain weight, lose weight, gain weight. So, when people see overweight people, they don't give them a break. They don't think that there are things in their lives that have gone on. They, have a put the fork down mentality. And there is a lot of discrimination when it comes to weight. It was harder for me to get a job. I was very qualified as a secretary, and yet there were some places when they heard, or when I sent the resume, they were ecstatic. And then when I would go to the interview, I would see, you know, not, I knew I didn't have the job just by the interview. And that would play on my brain too. And so I would get more self-conscious. People who are overweight, like I was, I'm not going to say this is for everybody, because there are people who really want to be heavy. But a lot of times they don't want to be heavy. And it didn't happen overnight. Um, you you progress. Maybe you don't move around like you used to, don't exercise, don't have, I mean, I was in a very sedentary job. You don't do a lot of moving around as a secretary. You sit and type and file things and whatnot. So there was the desire. You want to lose weight. You don't want to be heavy. And yet it's harder to move the heavier you get. The motivation, it becomes your wish list and not to-do list. And that's what happened with me. I went from, I don't know, almost 300 pounds to 450 pounds in probably a span of 10 years. The more weight I gained, the harder it was to move. And so at my heaviest, most of the things that I did was done for me. I did go to the store, but the electric carts were what I used. And if they didn't have the carts available, I didn't shop. I would sit in the car. My son did the majority of the cooking for me and get me water. And at one point, I had gotten to the point where I couldn't toilet myself. So, yeah, it got pretty bad. And it's really hard to talk about because at the time I felt so discouraged. It was like losing weight was an unattainable goal. At one point, I had physical therapy and occupational therapy in my home. And we worked, and I did what they, had given me to do. And I was making some improvements. And then I got cellulitis in my legs. And we didn't, my son was my caregiver, but he'd never seen cellulitis. So he just thought that my legs were hot from blankets. And I went to the emergency room, and that night I went into septic shock. And I was intubated for 11 days. I was sedated for 9. And in that short span of time, I lost the ability to walk. I was basically bedridden. My muscles kind of just gave out. So I was really like an infant, having to be rolled over and things like that. It was, they had what they called the lift team. And there was a couple of guys that would come in and they would move you, roll you, do whatever needed to be done because they were trying to avoid bed sores. So anyway, even though I was bedridden, I started to lose weight basically because I had no appetite. And I lost about 30 pounds. And part of that was due to the illness, and part of it was the loss of appetite. Then they put me in a rehab facility so that I could, hopefully be able to stand and walk again. I was there for 2.5 months, and they tried to push me to do too much without really building my muscles. So they did the standing for me. A couple of people would, use a sheet, pull me up into a standing position. I would stand there for a minute, 2 minutes, and then I was down again, in the wheelchair. After like a couple times of doing that, my body wouldn't do it anymore. And so they told me that I plateaued, and they discharged me home. When I was at home, I got another infection. I ended up in the hospital. It was crazy. At one point, I was back in ICU, and I was intubated again. And after that, I had fluid in my lungs, and they wanted to put a chest tube in me, and I did not want to be intubated again. And there was a possibility that that would happen. So I told them no. And so they sent me home on hospice. And I was on hospice for 6 months. They didn't expect me to ever walk again. They thought I would never have the lung capacity. And they basically sent me home to die. And I was being very dutiful. I was going to die. So I had so much depression and just a lack of love for life. It was very discouraging. Anyway, so all of that changed when the hospice nurse, heard air passing through both of my lungs, and through physical therapy, occupational therapy, I was off of hospice, and they got me strong enough to be able to walk, to stand and walk, which is, I do that now. I use a walker a lot when I'm out because of stability reasons. And yeah, I'm saying all of this because, I don't want other people to have to go through near-death experiences in order to make, changes. Mind change is the main thing. We can all, change our habits a lot for a certain amount of time. That's what happened with me. But it's not a mind change. When you look at diets like a temporary thing, it is a temporary thing. And the weight loss is a temporary thing. I just wanted to, well, the reason why I'm the way I am is because I had the choice of following doctor's orders, the dietary restrictions and everything like that, or die. And so I took it very seriously, and I am very diligent in what I do. And I've lost 210 pounds since 2015. My goal is to lose 90 more pounds so that I can reach my goal of 150 pounds, which is good for my height. Anyway, the one thing that I wanted to talk about, I'm saying all of this, but I know still there's discrimination. I don't look skinny by any means. I look like I'm 240 pounds. But when I'm out, I see the discrimination and I can tell what people think. And it used to bother me a great deal, and it doesn't anymore because I know the journey I've been on and they don't. But one of the things that bothers me is I catch myself doing the same thing. And I have to self-correct a lot because I don't know. I don't know if this person's tried to lose weight all their life. I don't know if they're losing it now. Um, and so I just want to kind of put it out there that I am trying so very hard to think kind thoughts and be merciful with people. And I hope that, other people would do the same. So those are some of my thoughts that have been running around in my brain. And so I'm getting it out there. I hope that you're having a really good day. And I hope that you're successful in everything that you want to do. I am experiencing success now. And a lot of people are giving me, encouragement. And I just want to say that I really appreciate that. So thanks, everybody, and I will see you later.